हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, लेट्स कंटिन्यू विद अभिजीत सर क्लास। इस लॉकडाउन कोरोना के समय में बहुत ले लिए जमाई। लेट्स स्टार्ट विद अभिजीत सर पढ़ाई। नाउ वी हैव टू रिज्यूम द चैप्टर्स। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट our book Footprints, first chapter. This is supplementary reader, you know, Footprints without feet. The first chapter is A Triumph of Surgery, A Triumph of Surgery by James Herriot. Now student, this story is having some message. At the same time, you have to know it how we should take care of our some close ones. Sometimes due to over affection, due to excessive love, we make our close ones pampered. The chapter is also having the same theme. The writer, the narrator James Herriot has presented here about the story of a dog whose name is Tricky. Tricky, who is so the character who is Tricky. It is a dog. You can say not dog, a pet dog, a pet dog. So it is a pet dog of Mrs. Pumphrey. Mrs. Pumphrey. So students, in this chapter we will get three characters. The narrator, who is the narrator? James Herriot. And another character, Mrs. Pumphrey, and the dog Tricky. Now one thing more, the narrator here, the James Herriot, he is a vet or veterinary doctor. Vet means a veterinary doctor. Okay, and keep it in your mind the theme of the chapter that I told in the beginning, that sometimes due to our excessive love or over affection we spoiled, we pampered someone. Here also the narrator has presented the first theme, over affection can spoil, and the second one, that is the doctor, that means the narrator. The narrator saves the life of Tricky. Now how did he save the life of Tricky? What happened to Tricky? To know the answer of these questions, we have to come to the title, A Triumph of Surgery. This is the title of the chapter. What do you mean by triumph? Triumph means victory. Triumph means victory. So victory means win over something. Look, to explain the chapter, we have to know the title, but to understand the title properly, we have to know the story of the chapter. Actually, Mrs. Pumphrey, she loves Tricky very much. Mrs. Pumphrey, a rich lady who loves her pet dog Tricky. She loves her pet dog Tricky very much. But I told love is different, but excessive love or over affection, that is different things. Here Mrs. Pumphrey, what she did, she considered that loving means giving extra food, not send the dog to any kind of exercise, doing any kind of work. She gave her all kinds of foods that human beings take. हम लोग जो खाना खाते हैं, आइसक्रीम, liquor, drink, every kind of chicken, mutton, biryani, every kind of things. So if you give a dog those kinds of food, what will happen? It will be having obesity problem. So Tricky was becoming fat. He became like a fatty, you can say any kind of animal, fatty animal. And what happened, if you are very much fat, you become lazy. So Pumphrey, due to Pumphrey's over or excessive love, the dog Tricky became a very much fat, lazy, listless. You can say the dog is a listless, L-I-S-T-L-E-S-S, listless dog. That means the dog is very much dull, weak, कमज़ोर, बिल्कुल पूरे दिन भर सोता रहता है. So due to that, Mrs. Pumphrey thought, my dog is having great disease. She was a rich lady, so the dog should be treated by a veterinary doctor. And Mrs. Pumphrey called James Harriet. After watching the dog, James Harriet, or the narrator, he understood the dog did not have any kind of disease. Instead, due to the excessive love, Mrs. Pumphrey had made Tricky these kind of things. Tricky has become a fat animal, a lazy, listless animal. Only he needs good exercise and a restricted food habit. So the narrator advised her, prescribed her that you should not give her those kind of foods, ice cream, fatty things. Instead, he should be taken for exercise every day regularly, and if you give ice cream like these things, chocolate like these things, we can't do anything for him. But for 1 day, 2 day, for 1 week, Mrs. Pumphrey was doing everything for the dog. She took her every day for exercise. She did not give her all kind of food, chocolate, ice creams. But as your excessive love, she once again started giving the dog all those things, and this time the dog became so obese. Due to his obesity, excessive fat, it was lying on the floor throughout the day, can't even move. Then it did not even want to eat food. So this time Mrs. Pumphrey called James Harriet that now nothing could be done, please save my dog. And what James Harriet did, he understood that if I want to treat the dog should be brought to my house. So he told the owner of Tricky that now he needs hospitalized, he should brought to my house. I will treat her. So for 15 days I will be treating the dog, but Mrs. Pumphrey, you should not come to my house. You have to completely give the dog to me for 15 days on my hand, and I will treat the dog properly. You can't even notice the dog. Mrs. Pumphrey became very much sad. How did she live without her favorite dog? Now what happened? Within few days, Mrs. Pumphrey became very much tensed. She thought that my dog is not getting so many foods. What will happen? Now she started sending eggs, liqueurs, chocolates, ice cream, everything. But the narrator, he understood. He did not even give any food to the dog. He did not give any food to the dog. Instead, he just gave huge amount of water to drink to the dog. For 1 day the dog was inactive. For 2nd day it started taking interest all around. It noticed that so many dogs are there roaming around. So Tricky also noticed the dogs and he started playing with them. And also the narrator did not give Tricky food in a different pot. He gave the food in one place and all the dogs he left. And all the dogs come and they fight with each other for food. And day by day Tricky was also losing her excessive fat, and he was also taking interest. For 15 days and more than it, the Tricky is now becoming a good healthy dog. So then Mrs. Pumphrey called every day twice or thrice that please return my dog, I must look my dog. Then the narrator understood that the dog should be treated well. And what happened? The narrator enjoyed 15 days with all the foods that Mrs. Pumphrey sent for Tricky. Whatever food Mrs. Pumphrey sent for Tricky, all the food has been taken by the narrator and his caretaker. They enjoyed every day 4 eggs, liqueur, brandy, everything. And after that, after 15 days, the dog became a healthy one without any laziness. And Mrs. Pumphrey thought the doctor has done great thing. He has done surgery of the dog so that the dog has become a healthy one. From a excessive or fatty dog, he became a healthy dog. So she believed it's only possible by the surgery. So this is not the triumph of the doctor, this is the triumph victory of the surgery. Actually what we noticed, the doctor has not given any treatment to the dog. He did not give any medicine, any kind of surgery. Instead he just gave him so many exercises, he just gave so many waters, not any kind of food that will harm his body, and without any surgery he make Tricky a healthy and active dog. But Mrs. Pumphrey thought this is the victory of the surgery. So this is the title related completely to the theme. So students, you have to read the chapter carefully, and if you are having any doubt you can ask. Okay, have a great day. Thank you.